athletic director, and I am our NCAA compliance officer for our campus, and so forth. Do not, if you have your forms, do not start filling those out, because if you fill out the wrong part, you just became ineligible. And then we have to send it off to the NCAA to potentially get you back reinstated. Okay, and I will tell you when we start filling that out, okay? Also, if you have questions after today, because I'm going to kind of go through what you need to know, but if you have any questions in moving forward, whether it be this year or years looking forward there about NCAA questions, you can reach out to your coaches, Coach Lester, Coach Robinson, okay? And they'll either be able to answer that for you or direct you towards me, okay? And or our athletic director, Jeff Jenkins, can help you out then too. And then our senior women's administrator, Amy Halliwell, can help out too if you have any questions about the NCAA rules or anything that I go over or anything in moving forward. Our Title IX directors on our campus, especially dealing with students, is Kyle Rhodes and Kristen Lloyd. Both their offices are up in the Student Union building. And then for the campus as a whole for Title IX is Megan Elliott. She deals primarily with faculty and staffing, but can deal with students then also. So if you have any Title IX questions, go to Kristen Lloyd or Kyle Rhodes would be your best bets there, okay? Now, I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, okay, so we can get you in and out of here. And these are all things that each campus across the country, Division I through Division III, has to go over with their student athletes every year. And for those of you that are not freshmen, some of this you've heard before, but there's also new stuff that no one till this year at Division III campuses has we gone over that information with you. Okay, so it's important to listen and pay attention. Ethical conduct. You must always act with honesty and sportsmanship so you represent the honor and dignity of fair play and the general recognized high standards associated with wholesome competitive sports. You have engaged in unethical conduct if you refuse to furnish information relevant to an investigation of a possible violation of an NCAA regulation when requested to do so by the NCAA or your institution. You are not eligible to compete if you knowingly provide information to individuals involved in organized gambling activities concerning intercollegiate athletic competition, solicit a bet on any intercollegiate team, accept a bet on any team representing the school, or solicit or accept a bet on any intercollegiate competition for any item. You are not eligible to compete if you knowingly participate in any gambling activity that involves intercollegiate or professional athletics through a bookmaker, a parlay card, or any other method employed by gambling. You are not eligible to compete if you have shown dishonesty in evading or violating NCAA regulations. Amateurism. You are not eligible for participation in a sport if after full-time collegiate enrollment you have ever taken pay or the promise of pay for competing in that sport. Agreed orally or in writing to compete in professional athletics in that sport. Competed on any professional athletic team as defined by the NCAA in that sport. Or used your athletic skill for pay in any form in that sport prior to collegiate enrollment. An individual may accept prize money based only on his or her place finish or performance from the sponsor of an open athletic event, the United States Olympic Committee, or the appropriate national governing body. An individual may also accept actual necessary expenses associated with the individual's practice and competition on a professional team. You are not eligible in a sport if you ever have accepted money, transportation, or other benefits from an agent or agreed to have an agent market your athletic ability or reputation in that sport. You are not eligible in any sport if after you become a student athlete you accept any pay for promoting a commercial product or service or allow your name or picture to be used for promoting a commercial product or service unless the individual became involved in such activities for reasons independent of athletic ability. No reference is made of these activities and individuals' involvement in intercollegiate athletics and individuals' Picture under such circumstances is not a rate commensurate with the individual's skill and experience as a model or performer, and is not based in any way on the individual's athletic ability or reputation. You are not eligible in any sport if, because of your athletic ability, you are paid for work you did not perform or were paid at a rate higher than the going rate. Okay, some of you are going to get involved in other activities on campus, and I'll use admissions as potential. Some of you might be an A-team member, or you may help show them around, or on every campus, and our campus is no different than others, they will put together like YouTube videos to promote our campus, okay? And some of you may be asked to do so. That's where they cannot use your athletic talent. So always be careful if they ask you to wear like one of your golf shirts, or you bring your clubs and they promote that, okay? If you have any questions about that before you do that, okay, don't be afraid to approach your coaches or reach out to the people I told you like myself, and then we can sign off. Because here's the thing is, other people on this campus does not understand the NCAA rules. They don't deal with that on a regular basis, okay? All right, so if there's any question, always be safe than sorry, all right? Seasons of participation. A student athlete must count a season of participation when the student athlete practices or competes during or after the first contest following the student athlete's initial participation at that school. A season of participation shall not be counted when a student athlete participates in a preseason scrimmage or preseason exhibition conducted prior to the first contest in the traditional segment following the student athlete's initial participation at that school, or when a student athlete participates in the one date of competition during the non-traditional segment in baseball, field hockey, lacrosse, soccer, softball, and volleyball. A season of participation shall not be counted when a student athlete practices in the non-traditional sports segment. Financial aid. You are not eligible if you receive financial aid other than the non-athletic financial aid that your school distributes. However, it is permissible to receive financial aid from anyone on whom you are naturally or legally dependent. Financial aid that has been awarded to you on a basis other than athletic leadership, ability participation, or performance. Financial aid from an entity outside your school that meets the requirements specified in Division III manual. You must report to your school any financial aid that you receive from a source other than your school. However, you do not need to report financial aid received from anyone on whom you are naturally or legally dependent. That last part, some of you may have received some local scholarship money, and I'll just use this as an example, from the American Legion back home, okay? All right, well, the American Legion, if they make that check out in your name, you can't just cash that or put it in the bank and put it all together with maybe what your family's contribution is towards your education here. You have to submit that or report that to our financial aid, which is Melinda Middleton, okay? You're still gonna get it, all right? But they have to report that, plus the American Legion, it ends up kind of being almost like a tax write-off for them, so they're gonna need something from our institution, okay? If that check is made out to Rose-Hulman, then you'll just send that in with everything else, okay? Because it has our institution, and our institution can get back and get the information back to that. There's all kinds of local scholarships. I just used the American Legion as an example there. Academic standards, eligibility for practice and competition. You're eligible to practice or compete if you are enrolled in a minimum full-time program of studies leading to a baccalaureate or equivalent degree as defined by the regulations of your school. If at any point you drop below full-time, you're unable to practice. You're eligible to practice or compete during the official vacation period immediately before initial enrollment, provided you have been accepted by your school for enrollment in a regular full-time program of studies. You are no longer enrolled at your previous school, and you are eligible under all school and NCAA requirements. You also are eligible to practice while enrolled in less than a minimum full-time program of studies if you are enrolled in the final semester or quarter, we're on quarters here, of a baccalaureate program, and your school certifies that you are caring for credit the courses necessary to complete your degree requirements. Okay? All right? Full-time enrollment is 12 hours or more. If you drop below 12 hours, you become part-time status. If you're not in your final quarter towards graduation and the classes that you need to take to complete your undergraduate degree, which that has to be verified. Don't just go by what your advisor says or a professor up in your area. Again, the academic areas, your advisors and so forth do not understand what full-time and part-time is by NCAA rules. Also, if you go down to part-time status, it can also affect the financial aid that you're receiving from Rose-Hulman and or your health insurance, okay, if you drop below that. So I encourage you, if you're going to, and whether it be your last quarter or anywhere through the time that you're here at Rose-Hulman, if you're going to drop any classes, go to your coaches before you do that so they can verify or come to me and verify that you are still full-time status. Because we've had some incidents that they thought they were 13 hours and it wasn't looked at close enough that they dropped below 12 and they become ineligible right off the bat.
Or they just plain old didn't think at all.
Yes, okay? So always make sure, okay? If you are in your last quarter and you're gonna, you can maintain less than 12 credit hours to receive your undergraduate degree, you can still compete, but I have to verify all that through the registrar's office. And documentation has to be taken care of before you can compete. Okay, so always make sure. Don't wait till 2 days before your last quarter starts of classes and reach out to me or reach out to your coaches. You're going to pre-register like at midterm the quarter before, and if you see that, then at that point start checking into it. Don't wait too long, okay? All right. Other rules concerning eligibility. You are not eligible to participate in more than 4 seasons of intercollegiate participation. You are not eligible after 10 semesters or 15 quarters in which you were enrolled at a collegiate institution in at least a minimum full-time program of studies as determined by the school, except for any extensions that you have been approved in accordance with the NCAA legislation. You are eligible if you are enrolled in seeking a second baccalaureate or equivalent degree, or you are enrolled in a graduate or professional school, provided you graduated from an NCAA Division III institution. You have seasons of participations remaining, and your participation occurs within the applicable 10 semesters or 15 quarters. You are also eligible for postseason events that occur within 60 days of the date you complete the requirement of your degree. And I'll use the women's golf team as an example, your traditional seasons here in the fall. If you qualify for the NCAA tournament, but yet you were like graduating after the fall quarter or even graduating after winter quarter, you could still be eligible to compete in the NCAA tournament in the spring, okay? If it falls within that 60 days, if you graduate in the fall quarter, then what we'll do is we'll get a waiver by the NCAA that will enable you, because it'll be after 60 days, to compete in the spring in the NCAA tournament. We had some tennis players a few years ago that applied to. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Recruitment. You're not eligible if before you enrolled at your school, any staff member of your institution or any other representatives of your school's athletic interests offered to you, your relatives or your friends, any financial aid or other benefits that NCAA rules do not permit. During your recruitment, it was permissible for you to be employed in any department outside of intercollegiate athletics, provided the employment is arranged through normal institutional employment policies and procedures. You're eligible for intercollegiate competition if prior to initial full-time college enrollment, you received normal and reasonable living expenses from an individual with whom you had an established relationship, high school coach, non-scholastic athletic team coach, family of a teammate, even if that relationship developed as a result of athletic participation, provided the individual is not an agent. The individual is not an athletic representative of a particular school involved in recruiting the prospective student athletes, and such living expenses are consistent with the types of expenses provided by the individual as a part of normal living arrangements. You are eligible for intercollegiate competition if prior to initial full-time college enrollment, you received educational expenses from any individual or entity other than an agent, professional sports team, organization, or a representative of an institution's athletic interest, provided such expenses are dispersed directly through your educational institution. Visits, transportation, and entertainment. You are not eligible under bylaws 13.5, 13.6, 13.7 if before you enrolled at your school, any of the following happened to you. Now, there's a quiz after this, so remember that 13.5, 13.6, and 13.7. All right, that's key. So remember those. Okay, bylaws here. Your school paid for you to visit its campus more than once. Your school paid more than the actual round-trip cost by direct route between your home and the campus when you made your one expense-paid visit. Your school entertained you, your parents or guardians, or your spouse outside a 30-mile radius of the campus during your expense-paid visit, or your school entertained you, your parents or guardians, or your spouse excessively during your expense-paid visit, or entertained your friends or other relatives at any site. You're not eligible if your school paid for you to visit a campus, bless you, before January 1st of your junior year in high school. You're not eligible if when you were being recruited, staff members of your school or any representatives of its athletic interest paid the transportation costs for your relatives or friends to visit the campus or elsewhere other than the one paid visit. You're not eligible if any person other than your parents or legal guardians at his or her own expense paid for you to visit your school once and did not accompany you on the visit or paid for you to visit more than once. You're not eligible if at any time that you were visiting your school's campus at your own expense, your school paid for anything more than the following: transportation when accompanied by a staff member to see off-campus practice and competition sites and other facilities, a meal at the dining hall of your school, or a meal at an off-campus site if all institutional dining halls were closed and the school normally provides similar meals to all visiting prospective students. Housing at your school that is generally available to all visiting prospective students. You are not eligible if when you were being recruited as staff member of your school's athletic department spent money other than what was necessary for the staff members or representatives' personal expenses during an off-campus visit with you. Okay, all right. Now,